Hey guys, so today we're going to learn to draw a shark. So I'm going to teach you how to take basic shapes, turn basically this photo of this shark. We're gonna cartoon this shark. Some supplies you're gonna need are your crayons for coloring him after, your pencil, and to outline him, kind of like a coloring book, you're gonna need a marker. You don't need the same one that I have, but if you have some kind of black marker. And basically when you look at any picture of a shark, I just picked this one, you're gonna look for shapes in the drawing. Like, you can see a triangle here. And then in his fins, you see triangles. There's a triangle here, and a triangle here. And he has a triangle here. And then his fin on this side is actually a really thin triangle. So whenever you have a photo, you can pretty much draw anything. You just have to look for the shapes in it like that. And like his whole body is basically one big oval. And that's what we're gonna start with on our paper, is this big oval that you see right here. So actually let's turn our paper to the side, since that's kind of how our photo is. So we're going to start with that oval that I showed you. You're just going to draw oval in the center of your page. Like that. And then now if you look from our oval right here, I'll kind of draw it a little bit darker. If you look from our oval, you'll see his nose is another triangle. So from our oval, we're gonna add a triangle. And don't worry about his eyes or his nose, like his little nostril or his mouth yet. We'll get to that later. We're just looking at the shapes right now. So now we're looking at our other triangles we have spread out over his body. The next triangle, you kind of find where on this oval that top fin would be. So you kind of measure, it's about maybe right here. So then we'll put our next triangle right here. And then we do the same for this, his bottom flipper right here. So let's say from his nose, kind of looking, and then this oval kind of goes down a little bit right here. It's about right there. We're gonna do, so Let me try to make it easier for you before we do our rounded fin. We'll do our triangle out like this. And if you want to keep it that way and just make it super cartoony and keep it pointed, that's okay. But if you want to round it out like it is in the photo, you can round it out too and just follow that line and make it more rounded around the outside of your triangle. Like that. And then you can erase the inside triangle, unless you decided to keep the triangle look for your cartoon shark. It's all up to you. And then, so if we look, our side fin right here is kind of matched up with our top fin. So where we drew this triangle, we're gonna kind of, you can lightly draw a line down to help, and then maybe about the center of our oval you can make like a little dot, and then this is sometimes where I get a ruler to try to help me. And then, since it's kind of a weird looking triangle, it's a very thin triangle if you look at it. Right? Because it's an itty bitty point up here, and then it comes down to here. So with our little dot right here, we can kind of draw a line there, like that. Just a little dash. And then draw a line down out here. And then with your ruler, we're gonna match it up. With our other one. And then, like, kind of like down here, you can kind of round it out after you've done that. And we don't need our little. Okay, so now to figure out his back tail part, there's also these itty bitty triangles too that we'll have to add, but there's also this big triangle right here that's added on to our middle oval. So you can either use a ruler again to help you, or you can eyeball it. I'm just gonna eyeball it, I think, and I'm gonna mark probably just kind of right out here to where I want my triangle to end, and then kind of draw from my oval out to that dot. Like so. So there's our other triangle on the other side. And then these itty bitty triangles, you kind of do the same thing, kind of measure out about where they would be, and then add our little itty bitty triangle, and then another itty bitty triangle at the bottom. And then for his back tail, I'm going to cover up this just so you can see what we're doing with his back tail. Once again, 2 big triangles. They're a little bit more awkward triangles, but they're still triangles. Both at the ends of his tail fin. So we're gonna, now if you notice, this triangle is a little bit smaller than that top one. So for this top one, go up. Oh, that looks more like airplane. I'm gonna erase that. See, even I make mistakes. Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. See, if you notice, we actually have to draw a line straight out from here first. So let's draw our line straight out from here. And then it actually, if you look at our line here, it's kind of diagonal out. So then we'll do this. And I'm going to round out that a little bit. And then do the same thing for the bottom. And then you can erase this middle line. That was just to help us see the triangles. But if I hadn't put that there, I wouldn't have realized that there is an extra space. That helped me realize I was doing it wrong. So there's like our basic outline of our shark. Now we can do all the inside parts, his face, and put his gills in and stuff. Now you can erase our, well, I wouldn't erase this part yet because that'll help us do his face. But you can erase like this line, and this line right here, and these lines. And actually this line you can kind of keep there because since this fin is actually on the other side, it kind of helps show that. Okay, so now for his face and probably some of his markings and stuff. So his eye, you kind of are going to do that measurement thing again. So if you see kind of where the oval shape is, it's kind of a little bit in from there. We're going to draw that eye shape. And then if you see where his nostril is, it's a little diagonal down from his eye. So if we're going to do that, the same thing with our pencil. His nostril would be about right here. And then we can also have that help us with where we're going to put our mouth. So his mouth would be about here. And then his teeth. This picture, because it's grayscale, it kind of doesn't show them very well. But more triangles. So we can just kind of add them in here like this. Now you can erase your oval line completely. Oops. Now we can do the pattern. Just like any other animal in the animal kingdom, sharks probably have different patterns. So you can have any sort of pattern probably on your shark. You can have a different pattern than mine. I'm just gonna follow this reference picture. I'm sure great white sharks, I know they have like different scars they can have. So if you want to put a scar on your great white shark, I think I might. That may look kind of cool. Now I'm just doing the same thing I did when we were looking to find every other thing, like finding his eye and stuff. I just kind of look at like where his mouth is, so I kind of eyeball and look about where his pattern hits on his body, and then I kind of roughly draw where that line is gonna be. And then it looks like most of his tail is that blue-gray color. And then his fin is just a little bit gray right there. And actually I wouldn't cut this off too short. Most of this is actually gray. Oh, we should put his gills. So his gills, if you look on the picture, this one is kind of faded, but his gills are actually right here. But if you looked up a reference picture on Google or wherever, that's where his gills are, right above that fin. So if we go right above this fin, or flipper, is it a fin or a flipper? Then you would put his gills about right there. If you want to put gills. If you don't want to put gills, then you don't need to. If you like how he looked without them, then I might give him a scar right here. He's gonna be a rough looking great white shark. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my black marker to outline him like a coloring book, and I'll probably time lapse this in the video, so you can go ahead and do that if you have a black marker. If not, you can go ahead and color him already. So I hope you enjoyed this how to draw video on how to draw this shark. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you would like to see more of these videos. I do a lot of these really simple beginner how to draw videos geared towards kids and beginner artists. So if you like these, go ahead and subscribe because I do these quite a bit. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Hey guys, so because it's Shark Week 2020 now, I am going to show you how to draw a whale shark. I know in one of my previous videos I've shown you how to draw a great white shark, so I'll go ahead and leave a link for you above and also in the description for that shark. But today we'll be doing a whale shark because whale sharks are probably one of my favorite sharks because they're so serene. Let's get started. I am using a reference photo for this video, so I'll go ahead and put that up on the screen for you if you want to take a look at it as well. I can't draw a whale shark from memory, so I'm using this image to help us along with this tutorial. So if we look at his head, it's definitely a circle, so we're gonna start with that circle. Actually, I might make it more ovally like this. It's not quite the perfect circle. So there's our head. And coming off from this circle, we're gonna already draw his little fin. So we'll just do just a quick triangle right here to tell us that's where his fin is. And this is going to be kind of like a cone shape, so I'm going to mark on my paper where I want this cone to stop. So I want it to stop there, and you can make a little dot too to help you. But we're gonna kind of follow this. Well, hold on, let's connect that triangle because that'll help with this cone. And then we'll meet up with that. And then we're gonna meet up here too. So it kind of looks like an awkward shape right now, but we're gonna make him more shark-like as we go. So we could go ahead and do his tail right now as well. So we're gonna do one triangle up. It's kind of rounded at the tip. And then we bring it back here. And the same with the bottom one. Kind of reminds me of an airplane tail a little bit. Now let's kind of flush out his face. Just follow along that oval, and then from this line we're going to draw across. Then we're gonna match the bottom. We'll leave a little bit of space for his lip, his bottom lip. And that's gonna be his mouth. And if you notice in the photo, his lip kind of curves out here a little and then goes into his head. So give him a little lip. And then we'll do his chin and meet that up. Now his eyes are like right here. So you can draw a circle for his eye. Actually, it's a little lower than that. It's probably about right here. Looks a little weird, but that's where it's at. And I'm gonna kind of add the gums looking thing. And it's just kind of this, if you look at this photo that I'm using, it's just kind of on the ridge. He has like, he doesn't have teeth. So you're just kind of drawing his gums, because they kind of just suck in krill and small fish. They're not a scary shark. So we just added his gums. And now let's kind of fix his fin right here and make it meet up a little better. So I'm just drawing a line on the outside that curves a little to meet up. You can see both the top and like a little bit of the underneath part of his fin with the picture. I'm gonna draw kind of a curved line like that, because this part's gonna be like a bluish gray, and then that's his white belly part, underneath part. And curving that fin and bring it up to our cone shape we made. And we'll fix his body. You can erase this line we have right here. And this line. We don't need it to do his body. Right now he's a super skinny whale shark, and we're gonna fix that. So this part is actually more curved than we made our guidelines. So we're gonna make this curvy in to meet up. It's just a little different than the line we made, so you can kind of use that line to help you. And then this top part, it's gonna curve and kind of get bigger as you go over here and meet up with the front of his body, his head. Now let's fix his tail a little bit, because these two actually will curve around and meet at a point, at a curvy point. And then this tail, we're gonna make darker. There's his tail. And then we're gonna add his fins. So there's one right here. We're just gonna make a triangle, but the top is gonna be rounded. And then a little bit further up, probably about right here, it's that bigger fin. And you kind of do this bump up, and then you go up to your triangle point and then down like this. And then underneath, he has some kind of like the opposite of the ones on top. So you have a little one down here, just a little curved triangle, and then another one just a tad bit over, like that. And we don't need this line that's right here, or a guideline that we had before. Or this line right here. But we can keep these lines because that helps us know that it's underneath him and not on the top. Let's add some lines to his face, because this bottom part is actually white, so it kind of curves around like this, and then most of this part is white under his chin. His lip kind of goes out to here. And this part is kind of a bluish if you look at the picture. And then he has some lines along his lip. So we'll put one right there. And if you look at the pattern on him, there are a bunch of dots, and you can go ahead and like draw your dots if you want to, just up his back like that, just a bunch of tiny circles. But what I like to do is, and I'll show you this too, I completely color him in, all the dark blue or gray, whatever color I want his body to be, and then a gel pen or sometimes white paint, and I go over and do the dots so that I'm not drawing a million dots that I have to then color around. It's either a gel pen or paint goes on top of what I already colored, so I don't have to try and meticulously get around each dot and then get mad at myself when I color in one of them accidentally. So I'll go ahead and show you that, but otherwise we're done with the drawing portion of our whale shark, unless you want to continue adding your little circles and you don't care about coloring him. But I'll go ahead and do a time lapse of me coloring, and I'll show you what I mean by using gel pen or white paint. Okay, so now anywhere that's pure white like his spots, we're gonna go in with our gel pen or paint with paintbrush, and we're gonna do that section. When I colored him, I did try to use colors to shade him like the picture shows where part of him is shadowed. So I'm gonna see where his spots are. There's one about right here. And see how that just covers over where I had already colored. I guess you could also use whiteout if you're careful and precise. If you have that around the house and you don't have a gel pen or white paint. And let's see, and then we kind of just follow along. It's pretty sequential the way these spots are. They kind of follow each other. And then they kind of get smaller towards his mouth and less in a prominent line. They kind of spread out and get smaller. But this is what I mean by using white over it instead of drawing all the circles. So I'm gonna speed this up and finish him. So that's my final whale shark. I hope you enjoyed this how to draw video. Let me know in the comments if you have anything else that you want me to simplify to help you draw. I hope you have fun watching Shark Week, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Brittany here with your Art Fill of the Week. Hello everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. I am going to be teaching you how to draw 2 different types of simple sharks in honor of Shark Week. Alright, for our first shark, I'm gonna start over here on my page. We're gonna do triangle, lightly, because we're gonna kind of change its shape into our shark. And then let's make a U shape, kind of a wide U or a C right here, and connect that across. I'll darken it so you can see better. So we got like a big smile inside of a triangle. Now for our triangle, I'm gonna come from this point and like round it out a little bit. Back down to my other corner. So we're just using what we drew before to kind of help us guide our lines here. And then because there's like a white underbelly of the shark, we're gonna go again, kind of following the line we just did, and do another rounded triangle like that. And his nostrils are going to be about right here. We're going to do 2 little tiny ovals. And I'm going to fill those in. Those are his little nose nostrils. Now for his eyes, they're going to be about right here on the side. So we're going to draw a circle right here and then match on the other side another circle. And then we're gonna draw, well, first let's erase our little lines in here. In our eyeballs, we're gonna erase those lines that we went over. And then we'll add a circle, another circle inside for our pupils. You can color those in as well, because those are going to be black. And then now his mouth is fine. We just need teeth, right? So we're going to do just little triangles across the top line. That's his top teeth. And then to do his bottom teeth, we'll just do a couple on the bottom. For his bottom smile. And since we're kind of seeing into his mouth, I'm going to draw just some little lines right here, because I'm going to color this darker than back here, or like a different color red, just so we have some like definition. Next, we can do the water that he's popping out of. So, from our side, we can go up like this and do a wave. It's kind of like a triangle, but I'm kind of adding more of a curve to them to make the wave. And there we have our waves underneath the shark coming out of the water. So we can move on to the second one. Alright, for our next shark, draw a circle. And if you can't draw a perfect circle, a good tip is if you have any objects that are circular, like I have tape that I could make a circle with. You can use any guide object that you can find around until you can draw a perfect circle. Okay, next we're going to come down here to the bottom of our circle and draw not super straight triangles, but some triangles out like this. And then we're going to go to the top of the circle and draw a straight line up, and then draw a curved line down. And then from this side of our circle, draw 2 lines out, draw a line across. We're going to kind of do what I call a swoopy line, like this. And then to match it, we're going to make kind of like a boomerang shape, like this. And then erase this little line right here. Not the one against our circle, just this one. Makes it into his tail. Now, just like we did on this guy, we're going to have our white underbelly. So kind of divide your circle. And his nostrils are going to go right in the middle. And his 2 eyes are going to be on either side right here. So one circle here, and another circle here. And his pupils, so another circle inside that circle. You can color those in to remember. And now his mouth and teeth. So we're going to do kind of a smile first. And then I'm not going to go straight across, but if you want to go straight across, you can. I'm going to kind of curve it a little. And then we're going to do his teeth again. So triangles all the way across. And same for the bottom, but you want to look where you've gone up with your triangles up here for his teeth, because his teeth down here are going to fit into these when he closes his mouth. So if you want to make him a little more anatomically correct, you want to try to make them match up that way, if you can. And that's the end of our 2 little shark drawings. You could add little bubbles if you want to. Just circles, and then you put the little glint, the glint line where it like looks shimmery. And I hope you enjoyed drawing along with me. I'm gonna go ahead and outline these in marker and then color them in marker. So if you want to stick around and do that with me, I'm gonna speed up the video. And thank you so much for anyone who watched this far and doesn't want to color with me. Please leave a like on the video and subscribe if you want more how to draws. I also have 2 other shark how to draw videos that aren't as simple as these, but you can check those out too. So without further procrastination, I'm gonna color my sharks. Guys, so today I'm going to show you a simple way to draw a seahorse. Now we're gonna start with a couple circles, a small to medium sized one towards the top, then right underneath that one, it's going to be a long oval. So we'll do our long oval like that. And then one more circle off to the side over here. You're going to kind of want to make that medium size too, and meeting a little bit up with our oval. Pause for a little bit so you can finish your circles. Now we're going to connect these two and make the neck. So we're just doing kind of a curved line, and they're curved in. And then we can go ahead and erase these lines right here that make up our circle and oval. Then it kind of looks like a bowling pin. And then for his little nose, we're gonna come from the top here, draw a line out like that, and then we're gonna take that line and go up a tiny bit and then straight down, and then we're gonna meet back up with our head over here like that. And his eye, if you look at where this line is from your circle, his eye is going to be about right here. So you can draw a circle and maybe fill it in for his eye. And then we don't need this line here anymore after we put in that eye, so we can erase it. And now let's do the tail before we add his spikes and stuff. So for the tail, you're going to connect these two if they aren't already connected. And then you're going to swoop it around and meet it back to the bottom of this oval. And then you're going to kind of go on this side of your oval and draw a line and do that little curly Q. Just a little curly Q there. And then we can erase our other side of our circle. Kind of only used part of it to help guide us. And we can erase this end of the oval as well. So there's our main part of our seahorse, but they have little spikes. So if you just want to add little bumps, they're not huge bumps. I think some are spikier than others. It just depends on the seahorse. So we're making bumps all the way down. I'm gonna keep going with that until you get about right here. Stop right about there. Kind of a fourth left of our oval. And they have little fins or flippers. I'm sure there's a scientific name, anatomical name for them, but they have a little fin thing right here. And then you can continue on with some bumps all the way to the tip of your tail. And they do get smaller as it gets to the tail. And then if you also look at a seahorse, you can add little lines across. They kind of have ridges in their bodies. And if you want to add this, their eyes kind of are poked out. They're kind of like bubble-eyed a little bit, kind of like goldfish. So you can add that to make it look a little more bubbled out. And that's how you can draw a simple seahorse. I hoped this video helped you out with whatever project you're working on, or if you just wanted to learn how to draw a seahorse. And if this did help you out, please give it a like so other people can find this and it can help them too. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thank you for drawing along with me. Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to draw two different types of seashells in very simple ways. I'll show you some different methods that you can use to draw them. So for the first one, we're going to start with a circle. Then from that circle, we're going to make a triangle off of it. So go to the side of your circle, draw a line out, and then from that point, draw a line back to this side. Kind of looks like an ice cream cone. And then from here, we can add stuff in to make it round it out to be a shell. So we'll go ahead and do a curved line here, and this is going to be our inside area. So we can go ahead and shade that in. And then kind of bring our circle out a little bit. Just make it a little wider, and we can erase part of our circle that we made earlier. Just erase too much. Like that. And then to add to our shell, we can kind of do some ridges right here. And make them smaller as it gets to this end point. And then we can do ridges back up. And this line we can curve around as well. And then we can add some lines here from the dip in our little bumps. Add some lines there. And we have one simple shell. You can also use this same type of shell, but make it a little different. So we'll go ahead and start over and do our circle. And then our triangle off the edge. Make our ice cream cone again. Now you can change the shape of this so it's not so skinny. So from here you can kind of make a bump up like this, and then bring it down to this edge. And the same here. Just make it a little rounder. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add our center part. Make a curve around. Fill it in. And then kind of follow our circle around like this, and then connect right here. So you can kind of see once we erase this circle here and a little bit of our triangle, it's a totally different type of shell. And you can even like extend this part out like this and make it have a little bit longer side there. And you can also do the lines here if you want to. So those are two of like the skinnier shells. Now let's move on to a different type of shell, probably one that you see most often. So we're going to start with a heart. And then from this, it's kind of like we're making half a heart, but we're going to bring it to the same point. We're going to do that with them getting smaller as we go down. So we'll do another one and meet to that point. Another one, meet to that point. And you keep going down the side until it gets kind of straight across. So you'll do the same thing on this side. Do that half heart, half a heart, and it kind of depends how big you're making your half hearts, how many you're gonna have to do. So it kind of just depends. And then down here, when we get here, we can do a line straight off. Actually, that's probably a little too high up. About center right here and right here. 2 little lines. And then round it out like this. Now you can leave your lines in there if you want to, but if you erase them, leave it like this and maybe draw a line down like this, you have a simple little shell. Now we're gonna do another shell like this but in a different way. So we're gonna start with a circle. From our circle, we draw 2 lines down and then connect them like this. And if you want to make it super simple, you can just do lines down like that to make it a shell. So that's, I guess, another way, but we're gonna do something else. So from here, we're gonna bring up our line like this, and we're gonna loop, and we're gonna loop, and loop, 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 all the way around. Until you get back here, which actually I got a little crazy loop in. I could have stopped about here and brought it down. And then we just erase this circle in the center. That was just to help us. If you want to loop down to your circle for a guide, that can help too. But all I did was loops all the way around. So that's another way to do the shell. You can also kind of draw a line down from your loop if you want to, like we did up here. Or you can just leave the loops. I hope you enjoyed this short how to draw video. I hope learning to draw these simple shells helped you out with whatever you needed them for. Please give this video a like if it did help you out in some way, or leave a comment. I love getting comments on my videos about how they helped out with something, and also subscribe because I do more tutorials. I just hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for watching.